Are you stuck, Shruti?
Yeah.
Okay. Connecting to audio. All right. Take two. Can you hear us? No, we can't hear you.
Almost scared.
Which is not
Awesome. Hi, Shruti. Thank you for joining us. We did it.
Yes.
I know I have a IT background, but still we struggle there. But we will edit this part out. So, where are you right now? I don't even know which part of India you are right now.
I'm in Bombay. So I've been in Bombay since 2019.
Okay.
And yeah, I got stuck here, unfortunately.
Stuck. I thought everyone
Loves Bombay. Yeah.
loves, adores.
Yes, that was the plan, right? So
Yeah.
actually, the plan was to just stay here for about a year or so and kind of get the feel of where, like India as a country is going. And
Yeah.
then go back abroad and finish off my PhD,
Oh
right?
wow.
And then the pandemic happened, and then I got into work, and then work was so exciting that now I just find it so difficult to not like just do it.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
Another pandemic story. Like
I am so interested.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, the first thing I want to know is like, how do you guys know each other? And then how are you still in touch? And yeah, and everything about you basically, because this is the first that I am seeing you and talking to you. So,
This is the first time I'm talking to her after I don't even remember talking to her in intermediate. Did we talk, Shruti? I don't even know. Yeah, we just connected on
No,
social
I
media.
mean, you know how
Yeah.
it is in Chennai, right? Like
Yeah.
girls and boys are separate and
Yeah.
everything. So interestingly, this is so cool because the world is so small. I used to study in Vijayawada, right? Until my sixth standard, I was in Vijayawada, and until my fourth standard. So for 3 years, I had a I still have a really good friend called Krishna Ravali, who
Oh,
incidentally
yeah.
moved to Hyderabad, and she
Yeah.
studied in Little Flower where she was friends with him.
Yeah. Yeah, she was in
wow.
a different section. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
So she knew him. Yeah, right. And what happened was, so for 4 years after that, I was in Chennai and everything. And in the 10th, my parents had to move to Bombay. And I was told that, you know what, like every typical Indian Telugu parent, I was told that, you know what, dash all your hopes of anything else. You go do engineering. After your engineering degree, do whatever you want. And
Yeah.
the means to that engineering degree and to get IIT is Chaitanya. And I was
Yeah.
like, fuck, I'm screwed. I didn't know what to expect. And Chennai is a different scene. It's in the south, but it's a different scene, right? It's a little more cosmo than Hyderabad. Then
Yeah.
also Dilshuk Nagar of all places.
Chaitanya Puri. It's not even Dilshanagar. Dilshanagar is a little further away. So we're in Chaitanya Puri, a little back. So what are you doing now?
So right now I'm managing marketing and communications for this company called Bombay Hemp Company, which is a medical cannabis startup
Okay.
in Bombay. Yeah,
Okay.
and I recently joined here. Before that, I was all into health communications and health PR, which is exactly what I kind of studied when I was in Australia, right? So that's the whole
Right.
reason I even moved there.
Okay.
Because so that's an interesting thing. So I was faced with the prospect of doing my master's. I had no intention of doing a job after my undergrad, and the plan was always to go abroad, right? Like,
Right.
why would you not? And I decided to go for Australia, Sydney, because I couldn't imagine living anywhere which was not close to the beach. I've always lived by the beach, right? And so that's where I kind of got into very heavily into health public relations, right? So you talk to people about various diseases, you talk to people about how they can look at managing their lives better, and this kind of is where how your healthcare companies help communicate with the people.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing right now, but more for cannabis because that's where the trend is going.
Program call in Australia that you did?
It's called Masters in Advertising, Public Relations, and Branding.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a regular 2-year master course, but incidentally, the year I joined, they made it into an 18-month program. So you have two tracks there. You have a
Right.
practical track, or you have a research track. The research track obviously takes 24 months to complete, which is 2 years.
Yeah.
The practical one is a lot shorter, and you have an internship component there. I wanted to get into the practical aspect of it,
Yeah.
right? Because as in when I was going through my classes, and each one of these classes is again very specifically designed to understand a specific aspect of this entire profession, right?
Yeah.
Like, be it maybe one semester, we were just focusing on writing, how to write as, say, someone who's representing a company, and how to write as someone who's a journalist who's impartial and who's not representing any side, right? Who's just
Right.
reporting the truth and stands for something.
Yeah.
So, as in when we went through that and when I came to my, I think, fourth semester, I realized that it made more sense to understand how the industry was moving in real time, because this is an industry that moves with the trends, right?
Right.
You need to be aware of the pulse of the people, of the pulse of the government, even how the global trends are moving, how that impacts you as a country, etc. So it's a lot of real time and current trends that are involved, because of which I got into work. And that's where I interned with a company which I recently, actually, when I came back to India, also worked with them again. So I did this internship program with them, and they got me interested. They got me working on this Novartis, I think, if I remember correctly, it was Novartis's account, and we were kind of working on the consumer health aspect of it. So your toothpaste, personal care. And I don't know, I found that really cool, right? Like, you're supposed to, it's a very fine line to toe. You can't really promote interests of a healthcare company because that's unethical. But at the same time, like, this is information a person that can help save a person's life.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I don't know, I just got sucked into it. And then as in when, and you know, obviously I came back to India because I was like, cool, you know, I'll work in India, because this is where I finally, like, this was the base of my entire PhD thesis. Like,
Right.
what will it take for a country like India to really look at medical cannabis, other than the way they are currently? Because, you know, I mean, it's entrenched in our roots, right? So it was a very fascinating case study.
What's the background of this? So what did you do your prior to your master's degree? What did you do before that, which led to this, your path? Yeah.
So I was in Manipal, and I was doing my bachelor's in journalism and mass communication. And yeah, and then I interned in PR, and actually, you know, the job description that I read and the kind of experience that I got was that, you know, oh, I'll get to see fashion shows, hobnob with celebrities, and travel everywhere. And I was like, you know what, this is the life. That was the whole aim, honestly speaking, as shallow as it sounds.
All of us were like fooled at age 18, you know, 17, 18, right out of school. So you're not the only one. Yeah. Yeah. All of us, you know, were fooled in some way or another, I think.
Yeah. How is the journey of a student going to Australia? Like, so you do your degree for a couple of years, and then what happens next? Because like in US, I'm sure you know a little bit, like you get work, authorization for maybe 2 to 3 years, and then you get another work permit and you extend that and you get your green card and all of that. So what's it like after graduating in Australia? How long are you allowed to be in Australia, you know, to get a job? Or are you kicked out after, 90 days because you don't have a job? Get out of here. That's how it's in US.
No. So you can apply for an extension, right? So if it's for 2 years, you automatically get, I believe it was 6 months when I was thinking about it, 2019. I'm not sure, like, I'd have to recheck that. But if it's a 2-year degree, you automatically get a 6-month extension.
Right.
But the further extension of that, like whether or not it becomes permanent and converts into a work permit, depends on whether you get a job in your specific field or not. So it has to be in some way related to what you've studied, right? If it's an 18-month thing, yeah.
I hate that. This is the same thing that is in US, that you did your degree in computer science, which I did, and I have to do a job in computer science related field to get my work authorized for 3 years and then get my work permit and then green card. And then maybe I can do something else. That is why I like Canada, where you don't have to do something. Ideally, you invested 2 years.
You would.
Yeah,
Like,
you
would
invested so
something
much
to
time
study.
in a
Yeah.
degree master's program, and you invested that time and energy. So you want to do something related to it, but it restricts you, right? You don't have the freedom of doing anything at all
Yeah.
legally. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I want to do maybe part-time, music, or some other kind of job, right? Which is not allowed in US. It's illegal. So yeah, I mean, I am sad to know it's the same in Australia. It's not. So we had a
Yeah.
conversation with a friend in UK, and we learned that it's not the same there.
Yeah.
You can do anything you want after graduating, but
No, I mean, yeah, that is the whole issue. But the thing is, when you're in that state of flux, right, like that period of 4 months or 6 months, while
Yeah.
you're looking for a job, it's not like you can't work anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's still that you are able to, if you're able to get a job, and the thing is, there it's usually through connects and contacts. Like you can't apply, say, on LinkedIn and expect a job as a cashier at Coles, for example, which is a supermarket.
Yeah.
But the option is still there, and the wages that they pay there are a lot higher than any of the other Western countries. And the whole visa process and everything, right? Like it's actually pretty flexible. Because once you get your medical and you don't need to, there's not a lot of manual intervention that's required, right? It's all just once your passport's created, it all just goes through, and it takes 7 days for your visa to come in. No interview or anything as well.
It takes 7 days to get your visa study permit to
I
Australia.
got my visa in I was surprised
God.
actually. I was like,
It was,
shit,
like,
I can
so
book my
smooth.
tickets as early as next.
People are just, I mean, including me and her, we decide to go either US or Canada for
Yeah.
our studies.
It took forever. to
Yeah.
get mine. Forever.
I applied my student visa in November, or no, maybe like later, but it took a while. It was not as peaceful as
Yeah.
I apply this weekend and I get the next weekend. How peaceful.
Yeah.
That's how Australia is, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's not stressed
Yeah.
as stressed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Look at your memories from Australia. Let's talk about Australia and its cuisines, right? Like, are we looking at any local cuisine or dish?
Is there a creme brulee top?
Unfortunately, I couldn't have a lot of the local cuisine there because it's a lot of non-vegetarian and I'm vegetarian. 18 months was the time where I really experimented with food, but the dessert scene there is chef's kiss. Matlab,
Wow.
beautiful desserts. So that's what you see here, right? So, okay, so a little bit of a backstory again here.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
Australia, I'm a huge fan of cheesecakes, and
Okay.
there's this one kind of cheesecake which is only available in Japan, who has one outlet in all of Australia, which is in Sydney, which is Uncle Tetsu's. So what they did was, towards the end of my stay in Australia, which was which was 2019, they had a little cafe that they opened down where they were offering such desserts. So what you see here is a crepe outside in a shape of a cone. There's a slice of that cheesecake inside that. There's a scoop of ice cream and there's a creme brulee on top. So all the kind of sweets that I like mashed into
Did
one.
you
Now
just
tell me,
swallow some?
or not.
I hope the mic did not pick it up because I did a big gulp.
Beautiful. Oh my God. I've never had such a wide variety of desserts as I had there. Beautiful.
Is this another dessert we're looking at here?
No, so this is an experiment that I did. I was actually invited to a house party and, thought it was nice. So this was my first attempt at baking. What you see is like Parmesan garlic rolls or something. So it has cheese stuffed inside.
Amazing for like a first try.
Right.
And just the fact that you assumed that this is, something to shade outside.
Yeah,
I think that's a
huge compliment. Yeah. It looked like something I've seen somewhere. So, yeah.
You must have. I just Googled a mix of what Gordon Ramsay or Nigella Lawson. I really love their recipes. They're so pretty and they're all aspirational, right? So, yeah.
Did you live on campus or off campus?
On campus, but in the apartments, not in the hostels.
Had roommates or did you live by yourself?
Yeah, so I opted for the 5-bedroom apartment. So I had 4 roommates. Yeah,
okay.
But each of us had our own individual rooms. Only the kitchen and the bath were sharing. So that was cool.
Okay. That's nice.
So was it like a party every night? Like I can't imagine, 5 people. It must have been.
Or is it just
fun.
private lives in each room?
No.
Yeah, I really wish, Mounika, that's exactly what I was hoping for. Right? That's why I was so ambitious. I opted for mixed housing as well. Mixed housing. And my parents were like, you know what, we don't know what you're going to do once you go there, etc. But look at my luck. I was roomed with 4 other girls, which is still
Okay.
fine, but all 4 of them were Chinese and all of them were extremely studious. And they were always either studying or, working out or eating and then going back to studying. And I was like, okay, then this is what it's going to be like. The first, I think, 2 semesters were like that, where I had minimal interaction with my roommates and everything.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We see a special friend in here. Do you want to tell us who this is?
Yeah, so after that, right? So what happened was after those 2 semesters, almost everyone from the house had moved out. And there was a period where I was alone, and then a new girl had moved in. And I saw that she
Okay.
was also from China. And I was like, shit, yeah, I don't have any chance of making friends with my roommates. This is so unfortunate. And this was the time when I was actually going through a little bit of a tough time during that time.
Okay.
And I don't know, she came up to me and she was like, I just moved in here. I see you moving around. Can you show me around or something like that. Basically,
Yeah.
she made the move, she made the conversation, and 2 days later, she was like, why are you so sad all the time? Then we started going swimming together, and then I take her around all the places I used to go to when I was like exploring Sydney on my own, and it was fun. So I basically then started having a friend who was also living in the same house that I was, but at the same time, like, she would still be chill enough to like kind of be like, okay, let me leave her alone whenever she wants it to be.
Yeah.
So
It's important to have good friends. Like that is something I struggled with. Very honestly, like I didn't enjoy my the circle that I had initially, and later on I grew into it. But and then like my stories still on Instagram, I like to go, by my own because it's difficult to, have someone and then have the same schedule and
Similar interests
similar
also.
interests,
It's
good
rare.
mood,
Yeah.
same mood and everything. So it's nice, it's good, it's lovely that you met someone like that. And I'm sorry, I didn't get the campus or the college name. I think your university.
UNSW, University of New South Wales.
Okay,
Okay.
got it. Is this the campus or?
Yeah, so this is in front. This is the lawn in front of the library. So this is where people come in between classes to
How
chill.
did you, Shruti? I have to ask, how did you get any studying done? Because if we had access to lawns like this, I'd just be like, lazing in the sun,
Yeah,
taking like a nice, afternoon like siesta.
making
after lunch.
snowflakes on the glass and staring at the sun, sleeping naps.
It's
Yeah.
gorgeous, and I know Australia has weather as well for most of the year at least.
So that's where I used to get my studying done actually. So before classes, so what you would have is, I'm sure you guys have the same thing, right? You have specific classes on specific days and everything. Right, it's very easy to get distracted, especially when the sky is so blue. It's so
Yeah.
blue. The skies are mesmerizing there. I mean, as you can see, I just used to flip over the sky. So this is near Coogee, and
Okay.
the beaches are next. I mean, it's so difficult to imagine that waters can be that blue, right? I mean, I've never seen
Oh, yeah.
anything like that before. This is Bondi Beach, which is one of the most famous beaches in Sydney, right? And
Okay.
I've
at
heard
different
of it.
times, yeah, at different times in the day, the waters look completely different. And what you see here is incidentally a very, very interesting thing. That's if you can spot, it's a little hazy, but that's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle during their visit to Sydney. Yeah, yeah, that's the two of them. So they were at Bondi, and I just rushed there. I came to know that I think an hour before they were scheduled to appear, and
Oh.
I am a huge royal fan. I was a huge fan of them then, and I just rushed. I think the beach is about 9 kilometers away from my campus. So I
Oh.
took the bus and I just ran there and made it in time to kind of get a couple of pictures.
Even this beach picture is gorgeous. Oh wow.
It was actually pretty convenient once you got a hang of it. It's actually very, very convenient for students to live in these places, especially if you're around campus. You're very close to these amenities, right?
Yeah, I was
And
gonna ask,
yeah.
how affordable or how.
I used to pay about $14,000 per semester for the
Okay.
room, right?
Okay.
And that included all the
Right.
amenities and everything were paid for, and the cleaning also was done.
Okay, I mean, on-campus housing is always expensive because you have access to everything and they're doing everything for you. So
It's easier.
yeah, it's easier. Not like you don't have its own disadvantage. Next question was, I mean, I think it's obvious for the answer to this is your favorite place Sydney or? Because I can know that because we're looking at a picture of the same
Opera
house
yeah.
in a different filter.
Yeah.
And in multiple angles as well.
Yeah. Is this nearby the bridge as well?
Yeah, so this is right in front of the Opera House. That's the Harbour Bridge, right? And all those
Oh,
three pictures were incidentally taken. I think that was the first time I went there to the
This is just
Opera
giving
House, and
me
it was my
goosebumps.
birthday.
Really?
The view
Yeah,
of
the view of the
just
Opera House in the background.
just having a
yeah.
drink and looking at the view of the bridge and the opera house and the water body and everything. So
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, that entire walkway, right? I mean, and I used to intern there as well. So every time I'd come down for lunch, I'd just come down here, sit there and eat lunch there. And there's so many people who do that. Oh, this is actually towards the end. So this was that's Mark Manson, the author of Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
yeah. Oh wow.
So I was at his launch event for his second book in Sydney when he was there. So it was a part of my college credits that we had to do. So I decided to just volunteer there.
Okay.
And yeah, it was fun. It was at 5 a.m. in the morning at this really fancy hotel called The Star. And there was this huge casino. That was the first time I ever saw a casino. And it was so huge and glittering. I was just awestruck. I was just stuck there looking at it in my
Very curious about this picture. The first impression we had is
So maybe it's a mochi cake. I don't know. I'm confused.
I think take another guess.
oh
Is it ice cream? I don't know.
1 second.
No, is it cheese? Or is it
No,
of
it's a kind
coconut?
of cheese. It's a kind of cheese. Well, you're a little close.
Okay.
Okay,
Is it
so,
better than
So we have to guess.
Oh, we
She's
have to
saying
keep
yeah,
guessing?
you have to keep guessing.
no, it's cool. It's cool. I'll put you out of your misery. It's actually my first attempt at making paneer. So I had a couple of people over, and all of them were Australian. So they
Okay.
wanted Indian food, and I couldn't find paneer. So I was like, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna look up the recipe, make paneer, and that was what it
That
was.
is wow.
What a brave heart, because
Yeah.
even I mean, I would never attempt making paneer from scratch. Like that is a whole other ballgame.
It looks
but
good.
Wow.
Did-
Gutsy, Shruti. It was so gutsy. Wow.
I was gonna ask, how's the Indian cuisine culture there? A lot of restaurants or grocery stores. How is it?
Yeah, restaurants, grocery stores. There's actually little pockets where you have Indian communities thriving. But incidentally, even in the normal supermarkets and everything, you have a section which says Indian, and you have Haldirams, you have Maggie, you have Parle-G, and everything.
Same
I
here.
was mind blown, dude. I was
We-
like, oh my
Yeah.
god.
We go to Walmart, the grocery store here, and
Lay's magic
the
masala.
only thing we go there is for Lay's magic
Lay's
masala,
magic masala.
the green color,
sour cream and onion.
sour cream and
Yeah.
onion, which is my favorite, and then Maggie and those kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if I'm wrong to say, I feel like Australia has a much wider Asian food influence, right?
Yeah, because the population there is like that, right? Like you have a lot of Asian influence there. Plus, the food itself is also, the food culture is very diverse. They're very open to trying out different things and all of that. So
Right.
it's good, and it caters to a wider palate as well. So, like, as being a vegetarian, I could still go out and have something or the other as opposed to not having any choices. But I had dosa, something like in really desperate situations, I'd order samosas or something, and oh my god, I used to love it. I had pav bhaji also once.
We can totally understand
Yeah.
those desperate situations. We crave for pani puri. We just crave for some pani
We
puri.
actually just came back from a
That's
pani puri
$10
place.
for 5 pieces of pani puri, which is
I mean, the prices are ridiculous,
Yeah.
but then
Yeah.
if you compare it like how much we'd pay back in India,
yeah.
but at the same time, desperate times, desperate measures. Like you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's that little bit of home, right? Like it tastes,
Yeah.
it tastes nothing like what it actually tastes like, but it's a little bit of home that it just takes you back. And I think that's what it is.
That temporary, craving satisfaction that you get.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we're actually paying for.
How's the diversity, like, because in my classes or the computer science department there was a lot of Asian community and a lot of Indians, not a lot, maybe 50.
No, how was
Yeah.
it specifically for your program?
Yeah.
Is what
Yeah,
because
specifically,
journalism
yeah.
and communications. That's that's not something that predominantly Asian
Yeah.
influence, right?
You'd be surprised. So I don't know if it is a result of it being Australia because, if you look at it from a geopolitical angle, they've always had like good ties, right? China and Australia.
Yeah.
Or if it was that times are changing, but 80% of our class was was Chinese.
Okay.
And
Oh, wow.
the rest of the 20% was a mix of a few Indians, a few Iranians, French folk, US. I mean, it was honestly the remaining 20% was honestly very, very diverse. But it was cool. I mean, those few Asians would actually be social enough to kind of interact with us and everything. So I don't know, it was fun. But their names were actually pretty funny, I mean, they had to convert their Chinese names into English names. I don't know if
Yeah,
They do that.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah,
two
so-
names. So usually they'll tell you, like, it depends on who's asking. So if,
Yeah.
a fellow, they'll be like, oh, yeah, this is my English name, or,
It
and
reminds me of
sometimes it'll just be
yeah.
as simple as Mark
Yeah.
or Max. It's really,
Yeah.
Sun. I had someone in my class named Sun, and the first time I asked her, I was like, "What's your name?" She's like, "Sun," and I'm like, "Sorry." She's like, "Sun," and I'm like, "Okay." SUN. She's like,
And they don't have complicated English names. They just keep
Yeah,
it
yeah,
four
the-
letters,
yeah, the English
4 to
names
5
are for
letters,
short,
one
yeah.
word. That's it. It's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
Mounika, Vaishnavi, Karnam, Suresh. It's like,
Yeah.
come on. Huh?
Yeah, no, sometimes I wonder, like, we don't do that at all.
Yeah, yeah.
We just keep our complex.
Yeah, we should have a
names.
Canadian name also. Right? And
Okay,
also,
Tom. Okay.
no, like her college, I can say her class has 100% Indians.
Not 100%.
Okay.
We do have like we have one Nigerian.
One. Wow,
One
thank you.
Everyone has
in Canada or back in China?
yeah,
Canada.
Canada.
Canada. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. The Indian population here is thriving and
Yeah.
growing phenomenally. Like,
I'm shocked that you said 80% is Chinese. Like,
Chinese,
is
yeah.
it just for your course, right? Like,
or
not.
yeah.
No, otherwise also like on campus, right? Like there were times when I would be wondering how come there are so many Chinese folks, and it's a mix. It's a mix of your Asian-born Chinese people as well as people who've moved. So there's virtually no difference, even if you see the picture right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, like, it's because Asians are the ones who like to pursue like a lot of education and master's
Yeah.
degree and whatever. So you see only them being, mostly,
yeah.
yeah, because other people, they are good with a bachelor's degree,
Yeah.
right? Like they
They
celebrate it, right? Like, oh my God, my son or
Yeah.
daughter completed their 4-degree program. So
yeah.
yeah, it's like a big deal. So it's
I don't know, but I really found it cool because they bought another line of thinking completely, because
Yeah.
I was told that we are very similar, like when it comes to culture and everything. Asians and like the largely Eastern Asian and Indians are very similar, but I found that it wasn't the case. They were a lot more reserved than perhaps we would be. But
Right.
I don't know, it's very interesting to see things their way as well.
What do you have here? What are we looking at?
This was in one of our classes. This was an advertising class, so we were trying to understand how exactly people try to build out stories, and how
Okay.
you can kind of incorporate that within your larger piece of work, right? Like from a content creation perspective. So they were showing us how across a particular geography you have so many different families, but yet at the same time under Game of Thrones they're all connected, and how that basically moves. But yeah, I mean, that's how cool it used to be. Like I remember in another class, an example we were given PewDiePie's example. Like
Okay.
In what class do you imagine PewDiePie's video playing on screen? Never, ever.
Yeah. That's
But
interesting.
it was so relatable, yeah.
Yeah, Game of Thrones, PewDiePie. So I'm sure you enjoyed your degree.
Yeah, was it even like was any studying or was it just all fun and games for you?
No, that's the best part, right? When you're
when studying
is
feels like
fun.
yeah,
When studying is fun, like interactive and not just
definitely.
presentation slides. That is like
Yeah.
that's really nice. You can feel my trauma and sadness of looking at slides and not having fun stuff and no Game of Thrones and very interesting. What was this thing called? I said this looks
Scatter
similar.
plot.
It looked like a scatter plot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So far, whatever I've heard about her experience in Australia, it sounds happy and fun.
I would sum it up in dessert, beaches. Yeah, like
This is all, like I say, the Instagram side of maybe this. And I know you mentioned
Yeah.
in between the tough part the tough phase that you had to go through. So what would you say?
I think I'm just going to say one thing, because honestly, when I was thinking about this and you guys reached out to me, right, I really wanted to kind of shed light on this aspect of it, that the first semester, like, it sounds all hunky-dory, but honestly, this was a span of the last, I would say, 9 or 10 months that I spent in Australia. The first couple of months, the first 8 months, honestly, there came a point where I was so depressed, I hadn't eaten for 3 days.
Oh my
And
God.
the minute I decided to eat, obviously my body rebelled, and I was in a very bad state of mind. Like, it was a horrible time for me.
Yeah.
But obviously, there was that you go through that bit because you don't know, it's a new place. It's obviously people faces you are not aware of. You crave your family, you crave these things, but you know that there's something you need to do. And you just have to put yourself out there, right? To kind
Yeah,
of
absolutely.
just
You definitely have days when you're stuck in your bedroom and you're wondering, you're just doing nothing, maybe scrolling through your phone and just thinking about what others are thinking about you. But you have obviously these moments that are out there waiting for you, for you to create memories and meet people, and just there's so much out there that you don't have to worry about that little circle you're living in, worrying
But
about.
I also think that the good thing about facing these sort of challenges is that it makes you appreciate the good times more.
Yeah.
You know,
The
when
taste of
yeah. So you learn to appreciate the happy moments more, and so I don't know if it's right to say we all sort of need a few days like that once in a while, maybe.
Is
No,
it?
I think you're absolutely right in saying that, because we need to know that that Instagram version of us doesn't necessarily always have to be on. And it's fine. It's like you're factory resetting and coming back again. Like, that's the way I look at it. And it makes you
an awesome way of putting it. Factory reset and come
What
back.
would you say to your 18-year-old self? Like, we have like 1 minute left. Like, what would you say, like, in a sentence, if it's even possible? Like, what would you say to her?
don't be afraid of making mistakes, which is something I think I would tell myself now when I'm 50 years. So it's a thing, but don't be afraid of making mistakes. Just go for
Make
it.
mistakes. Like, you don't have to do everything
like mess up.
perfectly. Like, make mistakes, and those are the things you'll talk about more.
I
right?
really hope, thank you, Shruti, for like sharing such a personal experience, because I really hope someone else listening to this, especially if it's someone younger, because I know when I was a teenager, this is something we need to hear, like make mistakes and mess up. It's all right.
It's okay. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. But let's talk about, is this your room?
Yeah, so this was the room I moved into. So I had another room before, and they were refurbishing. So I got a chance to actually decorate the room the way I wanted to. So I went to IKEA, set up the entire room in a specific way, with certain logic to it and everything. And the best part was this room used to overlook the park. So in the morning it was really nice. Sometimes during Eid, everyone or the entire all the people would come there and they would sit and have a picnic, and the women would be there, and the kids would be playing around. It was amazing.
We were talking about the advice and your you made it through that movement and all of that phases of your life, which is not on pictures. That's not something you can capture on a picture, right? The tough times. So what do you have to advise? It looks like Australia is a good place to pursue a degree and a career after that, but what advice do you have to someone who wants to pursue a path like this and just like a adventure in Australia? Like,
Um,
be ready to fail is something you said. Yeah.
yeah, that is one thing. Like, you can't go with the expectation that what you see on Instagram. And today, I think that's the most valid thing, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't discuss. You can't. It's just tip of the iceberg. You don't know everything else. You just know one part of it. So you need to be prepared to not only fail but go through tough times, and obviously, like, see yourself at the end of it. And I
Right.
think the means to that end is obviously one, uh, doing what you would see yourself doing in the long term, because if you are intending to stay back in the country, and in all likelihood
That's
that is the need because of the loans and everything, that's a
yeah,
very real thing that all of us deal with, right?
absolutely. Preparing yourself, uh, becoming that
In
person.
the future.
Yeah, like that question of
Yeah.
where do you see yourself 5 years from now is a for me, it was very weird and funny to be asked back in BTech first year, but I never realized like whatever I said back then eventually became what I am
What you
now.
made.
Yeah, like
What
I
you
said,
made your
okay,
life.
I'll do my master's degree and then I'll work. That's what I'm doing. I just said it for
Yeah.
fun. And then, you picturing yourself, completing a degree. That's what you want, right? You want a full-time job after that. So picture that. And what do you want to do part-time? Picture that. Do you want to continue your side hobbies and side hustle and everything? So
Yeah.
you become what you picture. So that is very important, to have that imagination, right? Like,
Do what makes you happy, like amidst all of these things, if something doesn't make you happy, just don't do it. Like, I think that's the biggest thing that Australia put in perspective for me, because I mean, honestly, you just do the things that you're not going to regret, but at the same time give you happiness. What else would you want? Like, what else are we doing all of this for, right? It's so
yeah,
easy to lose sight of small things. Like,
right.
that's what matters, because that's what you look back at the end of the day.
Yeah, like
So
it's easier said than done kind of a thing. Like, do what makes you happy, because those things that make you happy doesn't give you money or that
Yeah, that's one
yeah,
aspect of
yeah.
it. I think the practicality
Hmm.
versus there's also the other aspect, which is what makes you happy. Maybe no one else around you can identify that as happiness.
Right. Yeah.
You might be the only one for whom that is
Yeah.
that brings happiness.
For us,
and
don't
you
just
know
walk
what? It could
yeah,
be something as simple as just going out and having an ice cream.
like ordering food, just do it. Don't feel guilty about it. Go for a walk, take a break, and all of these little things that people don't talk about, which is like, why is
Just
he
because
why is he having fun?
yeah,
Why is he not
because
working?
I think we have this constant pressure of wanting to be productive
Productive.
24/7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
To sort
you
of
need to
turn
do
off,
both.
yeah, sort of turn off, take that time, recoup that energy, take that time to recoup, and
And
then
that
come
goes a
back.
long way.
It does.
Having
Yeah.
that routine even here, where you say, okay, I apportion this time for studying, this time for
Yeah.
maybe working, this time
Mm.
for perhaps engaging socially with people.
Mm.
Like, as long as you make sure you have that balance, you can avoid feeling lonely. You can build
Yeah.
that community for yourself,
Yeah.
especially if it's in a place where you don't know anyone. Like,
Right.
you can't always go to places where you have family, which I'm sure even you guys don't have any family close by, and you just
No, absolutely.
None at all.
That's why we chose
exactly.
the life that we have. It's difficult. The life we
Yeah.
chose is difficult. That's because we want to go through this and we want to be at the end of that tunnel and have that,
Yeah,
the good
make
space.
something
Yeah.
of, make something of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah. The balance, like you said, is important. Do things that will help you short term, right? Make you happy. And also on the other half, also do things that
Keep
help
going,
you
which
long term,
push you
right?
for your
Yeah.
long-term
Like
goals.
balance of both. But very beautiful conversation. And
18-year-old self heard this, she'd be like, please give me the TLDR version of it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's no shortcut to, whatever we became the person we are today, right? So this is This is nice, but there is no local language as such in Australia, right?
They just have certain slangs,
Oh, okay.
like there's this really cool thing. So they have a bird called bin chickens, which are huge. Okay, when you see them the first time, they really freak you out. They're these black and white birds, which are
Okay.
kind of smaller than an ostrich, but bigger than a chicken. So mid-level between the two. I'll show you a picture. I'll send you a picture. You can Google it actually.
Yep.
Right,
Yeah.
and they scavenge across places.
Okay.
And they freak you out. So that was one. The second thing was kangaroos are not as friendly as they apparently seem to be.
Oh, that's the most I know about kangaroos is they know boxing. That's like they're ready to punch you or kick you with their legs.
Oh yeah, the kicking is.
And they're very muscular. I don't know if they're going to gym or something, but they're very muscular.
This
They're
is
like,
news to me.
they're like, flexing all the time.
This is news. No, I had no idea.
Do you have any?
That's the white
Yeah.
part of it, right? Like the indigenous part of it, obviously they have their own religions and like they have their own languages and customs. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, I don't know much about that.
Any Australian quotation or a mantra or some saying that they follow out there, that caught your attention, or any sentence or two that that you heard? Nothing. You're not
Is
going to
it
give me
to
anything.
chill
No,
out?
no, that's just one myth that I usually like telling or used to tell people who used to go to Australia is that the kangaroos greet you at the airport. And
It depends which airport, right? How local is that airport? Like not the international airport.
any international airport, Sydney, there's only one airport. Melbourne, there's only one airport. So obviously,
Yeah.
you take advantage of that. It's difficult. It's uphill, but you keep going, and you reap the reward. So sums up our entire conversation.
Yeah, sometimes it's not the place or the
food or
the food and
yeah.
everything. It's the people.
People,
People are so important. Conversations. Shruti is one of them.
Yeah.
And people are awesome. Like that compilation of videos that they're there on YouTube.
Even
I just
even
love
in our
that.
career, like
Yeah.
I loved learning so much about it today because, and this is, as I said, it's nice to see someone actually being part of the change
Yeah.
instead of just sitting at home and wishing for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I love that. I'm lucky that Sankalp has friends like
Yeah.
these where I get
It's
to
an
learn.
effort. I think that's all I would say. It's just a constant effort. Hope it results in something. But no, I'm glad we did this. I'm really happy. It was nice walking down memory lane. And I
Yeah.
hope it actually makes a difference because it feels
Yeah.
like people are moving towards that thing where now they're considering these options, right? I see a lot of people wanting to move abroad. So I
Yeah,
hope it
absolutely.
helps. And I love what you
Yeah.
did.
Shruti, thank you once again. Thank you so much for
For
giving me,
time.
giving us your morning hours, and it was beautiful talking to you. Sorry, like I couldn't stay in touch as much as I should have been, maybe, but thank you for
Oh my
being.
God, no, please don't. I think
Yeah.
all of us are adults here. It's very difficult to stay in touch
Yeah.
between life and all. So I know what's up, guys. You know what's
Yeah.
up with me thanks to Instagram. So let's
Yeah.
just
Thanks
know
to the
about
virtual
this.
photo album that
that we're putting out there.
that they were putting out there, which allows us to know what our friends are doing. So, and
Yeah.
thank you so much, Shruti, once again.
Thank you so much, guys.
I
I
will.
really was great speaking to you guys. So
It
yeah.
was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.